Let's head to Inside Out. So on Inside Out this morning, we talk about a petition that has been presented to the President, Akufo-Addo, to remove the Chief Justice, Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokuno. One of the things I was particularly looking out for was this petition.
Really?
Yes. You know, prior to this day, there have been whispers all in the atmosphere about somebody will petition for the removal of the CJ. You know, the concerns of the NDC, concerns of certain people in public about the conduct of the Chief Justice. We saw that with Justice Enini Yeboah. And the only petition that has sufficed under this republic is for the removal of Charlotte Osei.
Yeah, the former EC
commissioner
chairperson. Okay.
For the Electoral Commission.
That was
right?
right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
But let's quickly go through the petition.
Yes, like you mentioned, after the elections, when you move around, you hear people make people make calls, people make certain comments. In fact, I walk around some quarters and people are asking me what is happening with the judiciary. Are we going to have a new Chief Justice? What is happening? If I remember, the very first day that I started, we came on the show after the elections. It was one of the things that myself and Sewa spoke about. And yesterday, we received a copy of a petition by Professor Azaa, Professor Stephen Kweku Asare, aka
popularly known as Kweku Azaa, right?
And for those who know him, who remember him, he's a very vocal person. So this petition is dated 17 December 2024, and it is addressed to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana at the Jubilee House. And so the petition was titled, Petition for the Removal of the Honorable Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu, pursuant to the provisions of Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And if you look at the petition, 119 paragraph petition. So it contains a lot of issues that he talked about. The first thing that he did was to introduce or to provide an introduction to this whole petition that he is sending to the presidency. And let me just tell you what is contained in the introduction of this very petition. He said, I, Professor Stephen Kweku Asare, a citizen of the Republic of Ghana, respectfully submit this petition to Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, seeking the removal of Her Ladyship, Gertrude Saki Tokonu, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. And he didn't end there. He stated some grounds, and there were two grounds that he provided. One, stated misbehavior, and the second one is incompetence. So this is how Professor Asare started his petition to the presidency. And really, if you go
but what will amount to misbehavior and what will amount to incompetence in the case of a CJ?
So he has been explaining, he's been giving grounds, he's been giving justification to all of this. One of the things that he spoke about, you note that, or you remember that sometime earlier this year, around July, thereabout, we saw a statement from the Chief Justice, which made the point that the Supreme Court ought to be, the justices to the Supreme Court ought to be increased. She made the point that at least to 20. And somewhere along the line, we saw some list, 5 justices of the Supreme Court names were listed, in fact, were sent to the presidency, and then it became a whole lot of justices. And these were the justices that the Chief Justice recommended for elevation to the Supreme Court. His Lordship Justice Edward Amoako Asante, for those who remember, the ECOWAS Court of Justice, he was the president, or he is the president there. His Ladyship Justice Angelina Mensah Humia, a justice of the Court of Appeal, Justice Eric Chebafo, Justice Sarah Pamela C.A. Quarantine, and for those who remember, the Judicial Secretary, and then Justice Ifyasewa Asari Botri.
Yeah.
So these were the names that he provided, and
yeah.
she gave a very copious reason to support that particular point that she's making, that we need more justices at the Supreme Court. Professor Asari is saying that if you look at that particular steps that the Lady Chief Justice took, it didn't follow procedure. It didn't follow the tenets of the Constitution, what the Constitution says. Situations like that, the Judicial Council will have a say in it. It has to take a lot of consultations ought to have been done. That was not dealt with. And she unilaterally took that particular decision, means that she's going off box. She's incompetent, and she's not following what the law is asking her to do. The petition also make reference to the issue of Dr. Stephen Kwabena-Opuni, the Cocoa Board case, where at some point in time, Justice Clement Onyenuga, who was dealing with the matter, proceeded on leave, retired. In fact, he retired after even 6 months. After retirement, she had 6 months to mop up or to wrap up the case. That didn't happen. So the case was transferred to Justice Jima, who in April this year ruled that, look, I have seen where the case has gotten to. I want to deal with the case. I want to start afresh. I want to start the trial de novo. One of the things that he said was that in dealing with cases in court, the demeanor of witnesses is very key to the outcome and the determination of the case. So I wouldn't want to have anything to do with the previous trial of Justice Clement Onyenuga retired. I want to start all over. The case, when he made that ruling, the case went to the Court of Appeal. The AG appealed at the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal overturned that ruling and said that Justice Clement Onyenuga's proceeding should be adopted. Fast forward, we note that that judge who made that particular ruling, that the trial should start afresh, was transferred. And the reason that it was transferred, when it became public, a lot of people spoke about the fact that because the judge made that particular ruling, because he was not doing the bidding of the Attorney General, the CJ transferred him. And then Justice Abuaji Sando has been entrusted to handle the matter. The Opuni and his lawyers appealed against the Court of Appeal decision to overturn that ruling, went to the Supreme Court, and yet again there was another issue. So the Supreme Court panel that was hearing the case, when the panel came in, Justice Maria Mawusu was the one that chaired the panel at one point in time and gave directions and all that. And then when a date was fixed for the ruling to be dealt with and order for the parties to file their processes, the day that the parties came to court, the panel had changed, and this time around we have the Chief Justice on the panel. They say that, look, if you look at all those instances, it points to one conclusion. The CJ is interfering with processes. She's dealing with issues that she ought not to have dealt with. They are making the point that, his point is that, I'm not talking about decisions that the Chief Justice had made presiding on cases and all that, but administratively, a lot of the things that she's doing did not follow procedure. They also made a point about Okujetua Blakwa and then this National Cathedral issues, where at one point in time, a panel of the Court of Appeal had a case to deal with. Justice Senyor Jamefe was the one that everybody knew that was presiding over the case. Now, it was time for the case to travel to a next step, and then the panel had changed. The petitioner is making references to all these instances to make the point that, look, the Chief Justice is taking decisions, is doing things that do not follow the tenets of the law. And if you look at the Constitution, once you are the Chief Justice, whatever you do must be in line with whatever the Constitution has stated. But he does not think that, so far, the Chief Justice has been able to do things within the Constitution. And in all, he is of the considered view that it warrants stated misbehavior and somebody who is incompetent to the office. So, in the basis of that, he has petitioned the president to deal with the matter and to remove the Chief Justice. So that is the petition that has come so far.
But you know, like I said in my preamble, this is not the first time that we're seeing a petition of that sort, and it didn't suffice. Have all the reasons that have been stated, will all these reasons satisfy misbehavior, incompetence, for which the president will act on it?
So first of all, when the president looked at the situation, the first thing that will have to do is for a committee to be set. And when the committee is set, it has to include the 2 justices of the Supreme Court. And at some point in time, if it has to be investigated deeper, you note that at some point in time, when the petition goes to the presidency and then the Council of State look at the situation and then they feel that there's nothing more in it, it will end there. For instance, where we note that sometime this year, Martin Amedu petitioned the presidency for the removal of the OSP. The matter was referred to the Chief Justice to find out whether there is an element on it. The CJ had the petition, wrote to the OSP to provide answers to find out whether there's a prima facie, and or it came out that there was nothing in that particular petition, so it was dismissed. In this very situation, once the president receives it, it will be referred back to the CJ office again. But then, when it has to be dealt with, a committee will be set. 2 justices of the Supreme Court will have to be on the panel, and some other persons who are required to be on it. If that investigation is to happen, then what I see is that the CJ would be made to step aside for now until investigations are done and whether there's merit or not. But interestingly, let me just walk you through the concluding part of Professor Asari's petition to the presidency. And he said, look, the Chief Justice's action discussed herein not only breach constitutional provisions, but also constitute stated misbehavior and confirm acts of incompetence. These actions undermine judicial independence and impartiality, represent an abuse of power, and create a conflict of interest. Such actions must meet the threshold of stated misbehavior and incompetence as outlined in Article 1461, and therefore constitute the grounds of removal. He went on to say that the Chief Justice's role is to interpret and uphold the law, not to influence the selection process of other justices of the Supreme Court or to interfere in the operations of duly constituted panels. Her overreach is contemptuous of the power of the Judicial Council, which she chairs. Her involvement in the appointment process could unduly influence the president's decision, undermining the objectivity of nomination process. Her attempt to make side deals with the president put her in the position where the president can make reciprocal demands. She is therefore fatally compromised. The Constitution and established protocols dictate the process for judicial nomination, and any deviation from such procedure is unlawful. And the final thing that he said was that, I therefore petition the president to initiate proceedings to remove the Chief Justice from office, to uphold the Constitution, maintain integrity of the judiciary, and restore public confidence in the judicial system. And so please do not hesitate to contact me in relation to, if you need further investigations in relation to that. So that has been the petition that Professor Asari has sent to the presidency. And all that he's saying is that the CJ has to be removed on 2 grounds, stated misbehavior, and in his view, incompetent. And he's provided some moments, some situations to have that justified. And key among them was how she makes the point that the Supreme Court, justices to the Supreme Court should be increased to 20, and went ahead to nominate certain judges who think that are fit for purpose and should be elevated to it. They think he is of the view that that is interference She's just putting people in that situation without following the processes that ought to be been activated.
It appears that all the CJs appointed by President Akufo-Addo, he's been petitioned to remove them. We saw that in the case of Sufai Akufo.
Sufai Akufo, absolutely. Yeah. After the petition, they will come. But are they merits? That's another point in that. So now we have seen the petition. And I remember one point in time, I was speaking to an accused person and all that. Once you have been charged, in this our country, once you have been charged for an offense, all of us, we see you as a guilty person. All of us. Until such time that the court acquits and discharge you. So, and in the face of it, we think that, oh yeah, Professor Asari has so many points. But the moment we start seeing the explanations, start making references to the law and all that, we may probably have a different view on all that. But it's an interesting time indeed. A lot of the time we see a petition come out, like you mentioned, just in Yabua 1 in 2021, it was looked at, there was no merit, it was dismissed, he continued, ended his term, and then we have the next Chief Justice. But it's quite interesting that all of them who come are subject matter of petitions, and this one is not different from what we have seen previously. But the timing is what a lot of people are looking at.
Are talking about, right? Yeah. Well, since we've started with issues of court, let's dovetail into court today and talk about the issues that came up yesterday in court. Namwan was in court yesterday, wasn't he?
Namwan was in court. So I just want to ask you this question. When you make the point to a court that you should be given time to be able to scout and engage new lawyers, where does it place your previous lawyer or your present lawyer at that point?
Incompetence.
Yes. It means you sack the person.
Well, we can borrow the words of Professor Azaa. So, misbehavior and incompetence.
So yesterday, Namwan was in court, and the business for the day was for him to open his defense. Because at the last court sitting, the court dismissed his request for a stay of proceeding pending an appeal. He wanted to appeal against the order of the court dated 11 July to open his defense. He said, no, I don't want to open my defense. The prosecution has not proved the case for me to open my defense, so allow me to go. And the court dismissed and asked him yesterday to open his defense. Yesterday, when he came to court, his lawyers didn't come. Kwame Akufo-Addo didn't come. Prosecution led by DPP, Director of Public Prosecution, Mrs. GHOne Atakra-Bobisa was there. Men's Girls customers, the aggrieved customers were in court in their numbers for the first time after the elections and all that. Now, when they ask Namwan, where are your lawyers? And this one, Lily, just give me some time and I'll quote exactly what Namwan said. And that one will make you understand why I asked you, if you make that point, what exactly does it mean?
To my current
lawyer. Absolutely. So, Namwan informed the court, when the court Justice Ernest Owusu-Dapa asked Namwan where his lawyers were, he said he wanted attention of the court to be able to address the court and said, my lawyer and I have a difference. One that is so fundamental to the extent that it plays a point of divergence for us. This is in respect to the tangible base upon which we wish to proceed with our defense. So he's expected to mount defense, and he said he and his lawyer are in different wavelength as to how to proceed with their defense. On the basis of that, my Lord, kindly permit me to owe you an immeasurable gratitude by granting me a reasonable time in your estimation and in the interest of justice to scout and engage new counsel. The new counsel here, new lawyers.
In the presence of his lawyer?
His lawyer was absent.
Okay.
His lawyer was absent.
At least that is not disrespect.
So he was addressing the court why his lawyer was not present in court. So scout new lawyer to lead me and in my defense pursuit. To lead me and my defense pursuit in my quest to affirm my innocence before this honorable court, the Republic, and the global community. So when somebody make a representation of this sort to you, the understanding clearly is that he sacked his lawyer and he wants a new lawyer.
For incompetence.
Absolutely. Now, the Director of Public Prosecution made the point that, look, when the court asked for her reaction, he said, my Lord, we have just seen a motion that had been filed at the Court of Appeal at 11 o'clock, a few after 11 o'clock. And it was lawyer for NAM1, Kwame Boafo Akufo, who sealed is under it. So if the accused person is saying that he's sacked his lawyer,
sacking Kwame Akufo.
Yes, he sacked his lawyer, then we think that that is not the case. It was a deliberate attempt to delay the trial, and in all intents and purposes, the accused person doesn't want to open his defense. Remember that he's not the only accused person. He, NAM1, is the accused person, but he is representing Men's Gold Ghana Limited, the second accused, and Brew Marketing Consort. And in totality, when the point was made that now you have sacked your lawyer, you want the court's opportunity to engage the services of a new lawyer. NAM1 said, no, I have not said that I have dismissed my lawyer. Then what exactly is the point that you made? If you're
scouting for new
then
lawyers,
what it means? So the court even made a demonstration.
He wants to
you said, this
lawyers.
is your lawyer. You said you want to get, your lawyer is there. But you say you want time to get new lawyers. Then what happened to
is he
your lawyer?
indisposed? Is his lawyer indisposed?
So the point was that he said he and his lawyer, they noticed that he's not being satisfied with the kind of services that his lawyer is giving him. And so it's time for them to review the contracts they have signed, and it's the reason that even the appeal that they have filed, the state of proceeding that they have filed at the Court of Appeal, have even delayed. In all of this, the court said, look, the Director of Foreign Prosecution want the court to proceed. Once you are not ready to defend yourself, then it means you are guilty. So you should be convicted and sentenced. The court said, yes, DPP, you are right. All the laws you have quoted, they are correct. But I think that once there's a case before the Court of Appeal, the court ought to exercise judicial propriety to allow that to happen. So the case has been adjourned to February. So NAM1 will be back in court in February 4, hoping that by that time he's engaged or is able to scout for new lawyers if need be, and I think that he can sort things out with his lawyer that we do know. Then when they come to court, we'll have things to do. But of course, the Men's Goods customers were in court. Let's hear what they have been saying moments after the case was adjourned.
It's very disappointing. I mean, you can see from the expressions of the faces from the customers that it's very disappointing. However, we duly respect the opinion of the courts and the discretion of the judge. I mean, we are even happy that he sits at the appeal court, and so he knows the operations over there and the decision. We are also very grateful to the response or the reaction by the DPP, the learned DPP in court today, and the work she has done so far. We are very satisfied. Just that it was our highest hope that this case would have ended this year, and we all saw the proceedings today. He was nearly convicted, but with interventions and other things, we think that we respect what has come out today. However, we haven't so yet received our money, and so both the outgoing government and the incoming government should do very well. It is our prayer and our plea that even if it's possible, and we know it's possible, that the first budget of the incoming government, men's good issues will be fully addressed. There should be a roadmap as to how the payments will be done, how customers will cover their money. We want to use this medium to congratulate the President-elect and the Vice President-elect and the members of Parliament, and to tell them that this victory is a sign and it represents our hopes that nothing should hinder them. There shouldn't be any excuse whatsoever that the payment of or the recovery of men's goods customers' money should delay. It should come on live. Customers should be able to retrieve their money, and it's our hope that in the first 1 year of this government, customers should hear good news from the incoming.
So that is Frederick Forson, yes. Yesterday after the case was adjourned, for them, they were disappointed, but they're still hoping that things will be better, making the point that the new government will be taking office after January 7th, or on January 7th, to ensure that at least within a year, men's goods customers, the aggrieved customers, should have something to fall on. So that's what happened on the 4th of February. That case will come up in court. Yeah.
Let's look at some of the cases coming up today in court.
Big day.
Yeah,
Today is a big day.
anti-LGBTQ
Yes,
case.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. In fact, there were a lot of people who were hoping that the Supreme Court would have come with a judgment before even the election. But on the 18th of December, today, the 7-member panel of the Supreme Court, presided over by Justice Lovelace Johnson, will be leading or will be delivering judgment in 2 separate cases. One filed by Richard Delasky and the another by a researcher, Dr. Amanda Odo. So all the arguments have been made. The Supreme Court at the last sitting gives the parties timeline because lawyers of the plaintiff in relation to Richard Sky will have to file some amended statement of case. Lawyers of the respondent, the AG and the Speaker of Parliament will also have to respond by 27th of November. So all in all, today, the Supreme Court will make that judgment. And Lily, let me tell you, this very judgment will be hindered on whether the fiscal impact analysis and legislation and proposal were duly followed. And it's one of the key things that will play in today's judgment. And what does that particular provision say? Article, it is section 101. And this is what it said. Any legislation to be laid before Parliament or proposal submitted for the approval of Parliament shall be accompanied, and the word is shall, it's mandatory, shall be accompanied by a fiscal impact analysis stating the estimated effects on revenues and expenditures for the financial year in which the legislation or proposal is expected to come into effect. And this is one of the things that have come up in court so many times, that did the proposal precede, was it preceded with this particular expenditure and fiscal impact analysis? The lawyers say they haven't seen that. The speaker made the point that there's that particular provisions and all that were done. As at now, the last sitting, the AG said that we delayed in filing because we're still waiting for that. So that will be one of the things that we should look out for when the matter comes out today. But what is clear is that today, it's the day that the Supreme Court is expected to put finality to those 2 pending cases. Richard Delasky's version and Dr. Amanda Odo. There will be 2 separate judgments. But what I foresee is that whose judgment is delivered first, the second one, they will ask you to refer to the other person's judgment because the cases look very similar in nature. So that is one of the, in fact, the biggest case coming up. And of course, the Salifu Amoakun's son. We should watch this space. We should be watching this space because it is more likely that that case will also come to an end today. And definitely there will be some decision from the juvenile court in relation to the 16-year-old boy who we saw in that video crashing into another car, which led to the death of 2 teenagers. And those teenagers have died and they have been buried. Today, the juvenile court is more likely to put finality to that case. So this is one of the things that we should also look forward to in relation to what is coming up today.
Okay, Captain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lily.
I'll catch you definitely on the flip
sure.
side. That's Captain Murtala Inusah with court today. And of course, Inside Out, all put together.